to us about the latest news from the RIPE NCC. So
yes,
all yours. Thank you, Nathalie.
You can see me and can you hear me?
We do, both of them.
Excellent. Okay, cool. Now let's see how I share my screen here. Desktop 1. Okay. Should have tried this before. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we do. We do.
Okay.
Just, yeah.
Let me play it. Okay, cool. Let's start. So thank you, Max, for inviting me over. I'm going to do a 10-minute quick update of stuff that's going on at RIPE NCC, a bit of updates about our tools and services. First, there is a colleague of mine here in the chat as well, Ricardo. You might know him. He can answer all your questions in Italian. So if you have any questions and you don't feel comfortable asking them in English, you can type your question in Italian in the chat and Ricardo will help you from there. If you want to ask them in English, that's fine as well. I can answer them, just how you like it. Yeah, so first we had a big announcement last week. In case you had not heard that yet, we have a new CEO at RIPE NCC. And that CEO is Hans-Petter Holen, and he is currently still serving as the chair of RIPE. So we're welcoming a familiar face into our office. He will start in June, probably, and he will also hand over his chair function in the next month and a half or something. So that's one of the things that we have been busy with. Another thing that we've been busy with was RIPE Atlas. Currently, we have over 11,000 probes. In Italy, we have 309. And I had a look at where they are mostly, and not really surprised. The north of Italy is quite densely populated with probes. The south and Sicily, not so much. So we would like to see some more probes there. We are distributing version 4 probes. You see the picture how they look like. But currently we don't have them in the office ready to be shipped. We are waiting on the next batch. Not to fear, we have now recently launched software probes. I get to that in a second. First, the RIPE Atlas anchors. We are really happy with the Atlas anchors. Atlas anchors, for you to understand, are like really big RIPE Atlas probes. They play a crucial part in the measurements of RIPE Atlas, and we require quite some stability in the network. If you want to run one, we currently have 13 anchors in Italy. That's a really good number, but again, they're mostly in the north of Italy. It would be good if we have 1 or 2 more anchors in the south of Italy. So if you run a network in the south, we would like to get with you in contact if you can host an Atlas anchor. Then on the 12th of February, a month ago, we released our Atlas software probes. We had many requests for those because people forgot about their hardware probes or lost them or they broke. And now you can just set up a software probe. In the first 3 weeks, we already have a lot of requests, and so far 280 are registered, are working, so that's a big success. So if you are in the south of Italy and you don't host an Atlas probe yet, then you might want to go to ripe.net/atlas or atlas.ripe.net and get your software probe from there. Another thing that our research and development team have been busy with was an expansion of something that they had already for a year or two, and that's the IXP country JEDI. And with the Atlas probes, we do trace routes, one of the measurements that we do, so we can see how users are end-to-end connected. And that gives some interesting insight in how networks within a specific country are connected, and if they use the local internet exchange points or not, which networks don't use the internet exchange points, how the transits work. So I set that up for Italy. So this is the picture for Italy. Not surprising, Telecom Italia is quite big there, Vodafone is quite big there. And more on the left side, with a little bit, tiny bit smaller networks, they're still quite big. We see the internet exchanges, but not with the big guys. Not really surprising, I think. So this is how the picture looks. We still 8 out or less green networks there. You see Freem and H3GAS. If you know people working there, please ask them to connect some Atlas probes in their networks, because currently they don't have Atlas probes connected, so we can't measure how they play within in this field. So that's something we do. On the previous slide, you can see the link, so you can also see that for different countries and how that is. So that gives some interesting insights. Then on Ripestat, we have been working really hard in the last months to make Ripestat more international. So that means that in, let me think, in LACNIC, so in Latin America, they now have their own Ripestat. In Asia Pacific, they now have their own Ripestat. And on our side, we have been working on making a new Ripestat user interface. We heard from so many of you that Ripestat was fantastic and a great tool, but it looked horrible. It was not user-friendly, it was not mobile-friendly at all. So we took that as our #1 priority for this year and make a UI that actually works also on mobile. So I've provided there a link because we're currently still in the beta testing. So if you have any feedback on how you want to have things displayed in Ripestat, how you want things to look, this is the moment to provide us with feedback, and we would love to hear that. So if you use Ripestat, then this is your moment to have it your way. We're also working on translations, because we worked with the other regional internet registries on localized Ripestat. We now have 8 languages. People are helping us with translations. If you think it would be useful to have Ripestat available in Italian, then you can upload the translations in Italian and we can add them. It's on the previous page where you can see the link. You can also see how you can integrate that. So that's coming. It all depends. So we have now 8 languages, but it all depends on crowdsourcing, really. So if you think there is a need for Italian, then basically the Italians have to provide the translation, because we don't do that. We don't have the capacity in-house to have all the different languages uploaded. Now, the IPv4 waiting list. Everybody was wondering what would happen after we run out. How bad is it? How many queues do we still have for IPv4? So I don't know if you know, but after we gave out the last /22, a new policy came into effect where only for completely new LARs, they could get a /24, so 256 IPv4 addresses, if they don't have anything else IPv4 yet. So if you start a new LAR, the only thing that you can get is a /24 currently. And our waiting list at the moment is empty. How is that possible? Yes, we do get requests. It's not that we don't get requests, but they all get served basically within 1 or 2 working days. And that is because we still had some blocks in quarantine. So if a company goes bankrupt or any other reason we can't get a hold of them or they don't pay their bill, we take back the resources. And then we put them for 6 months in quarantine. And after those 6 months, they are chopped up in /24s, and then they go into the free pool for the waiting list. And at the moment, we still have some space there, so there is no waiting list. We can still fulfill all the requests. Now, the last thing I want to share with you, and that's a topic to my heart, is how Italy is doing on ROAS. And I'm going to sit a bit closer for this one because Italy, what is going on? Help me out here. If you look at the countries in Europe, you see the country code, you see the percentage of addresses that is currently covered by a ROA. And a ROA is a statement where you can state your prefix, which AS number should originate that prefix, and the max prefix length. And as you can see, where typically it's over 50%, let's say 30%, being optimistic in the rest of Europe, what's going on with Italy? I would love to see your comments in the chat why you think that this number is so low. And also the accuracy is not 100%. And the accuracy, what I mean with that is what we see in BGP and the ROAS that people create if they match. And that means it's not as bad as France, I have to say, with 99.4%. But please, if you create those ROAS, make sure that they match with what you are planning to do or what you are currently doing in BGP. Because otherwise, if people create typos in their ROAS or wrong AS numbers, the data becomes less useful. So that's really, really important. So I want to conclude my really short and quick presentation with a request to sign your ROAS. And if you don't know how to do that, reach out. Ricardo is more than happy to help you. I'm more than happy to help you. You can get help in Italian. I'm sure there are people on the ITNOC Telegram group that can help you and more than willing to help you. So please bump up that 12%. And I hope that the next time you guys have an event, and girls, that we can see at least a 20%. So that was it for me. Are there any questions?
I didn't see any on the chat, so I don't think we have any questions. So, well, okay. Thank you very much, Nathalie, and we'll try to. Oh,
yeah, that was it.
We'll try to do our best for the next time, and
cool.
We'll see if we can move it to a more interesting number.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Okay.
Thank you very much, Nathalie. And after Nathalie, this is time for the very last presentation from Melchior, the third Dutch in a row. No, the second Dutch in a row, but our third Dutch from Juniper.